that they're on there talking about. Bear with me a second. Yo, Ridge, is that you?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay, pretty good.
All right, cool, cool. Did you get to catch any of the conversation?
You're talking about the past live stream? I didn't watch any of it yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That was a good one, man. That was a relatively good discussion. Have you ever went on and talked with the preacher before?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh
I
man,
never
yeah.
really got into the whole lore of all the different people that um you debate and communicate with. Uh, but the Perry guy, that's the preacher, right?
Yeah, yeah. The channel name is the preacher. His name is Perry.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say about him?
Oh, I was gonna say he's the one that believes that like you can do anything and it's not a sin, right?
Yeah, yeah. That basically what it is in a nutshell is what they're saying is that, just believe on Christ that he died on the cross for you. And once you do that, that means nothing you do in life that would otherwise be considered a sin if you didn't believe. Now that you do believe, all of those things are not sin. Like I'll give you a couple examples. They say it's not a sin if they were to, rob somebody's bank account, or it's not a
Hmm.
sin if they were to, um, you know, uh, hurt another person, or just giving a handful of examples, right? It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a sin to do any of that because now they believe on Christ. Is basically what they're saying in a nutshell.
Well, that's a pretty bizarre belief system.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and again, man, I've been on this platform for years and years, right? I've been watching, the conspiracy or truth videos for like 8 years on YouTube, and then I've been, uploading my own videos for like, 6.5 years on this platform, right? So out of all the years that I've been on here, I have to say that the most bizarre, doctrine that I've ever seen would have to go to this dude Perry. I mean, this is the most bizarre, most preposterous and ridiculous teaching that I have ever heard. And I've watched thousands of people, right? Thousands of different, Christians or Israelites camps, or even a few
Well, I would
atheists.
say there's one that's even stranger, and that's the channel that says the Bible is the Ilmo
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, that was a while ago that came out, but I know what you're talking about, right? There was a group going around and they were basically saying that the Bible is the MO, right? Revelation 13:16. I mean, it's like, how the hell does that make any sense? If the Bible was the mark, it's like, well, how the hell do we know what the mark is if we're not getting it from the Bible? It's like it makes no sense why people would believe something like that.
Yeah, but it's weird how it's like every one of them is always going to have a little number of followers. Like I don't know why that is, but
Yeah, it seems strange, man. All these little groups that, are popping up, all these people that, they all have their own little following. Sometimes they're small, right? 5 or 10 people, some have more. But, it just seems that way. Like, I'll give an example, right? Primal Man's channel, right? He has Gonzo over there and a few buddies he hangs out with that are, preterists, right? That believe that we're living in the kingdom of heaven today, or at least a partial preterist. They believe that, most things in the Bible have happened, but maybe not all, right? Those guys all get along over there. Then this dude, what's this guy? Drake Dreadlord, right? The Southern Israelite.
uh-huh.
He's over there. He got his own little group of flunkies that they hang out with. So, and then Perry got his group of 10 people, that repeat the same thing he's saying, man. So yeah, it is bizarre, how these people are all rising up and are, being deceived.
Yeah, and if I was gonna try to look at it from a psychological standpoint about why these little tiny groups get started and they think they're right about everything, I think it's really a narcissistic thing. Like, oh, we have hidden knowledge that only 10 other people have, and nobody else sees it. It makes them feel special. That's my guess as to how why these groups get like this, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. Like, here's a good verse for it. This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 14. It says, "Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both of them shall fall into a ditch." Right. So, hey, these people are out here, following, the preacher. They might not know it, but they're getting led astray. They're getting led to destruction. And it's sad because a lot of these dudes that are following the preacher, these guys are young. Like, Apostle Tim, right? He's 19. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these guys that are all, following the preacher, a lot of these dudes are, pretty young. So they're getting all led astray,
Uh-huh.
by Perry the false teacher.
So, how many subscribers does Tim have?
Tim, I believe he has like 40. He doesn't really upload. He actually just made a channel like a month ago, so he only has like three
Oh, okay.
videos. But the preacher has nearing 700.
Yeah. Um, I I was just gonna ask from a little off-topic question. How many hours would you say now you've put into YouTube, like making your own videos? or
Oh
streams?
man. I mean, I can't even imagine that, man, because I've over the course of my 6.5 years, because I started uploading videos when I was 14, right? So I'm 20 now. So damn, I can't even imagine how many hours that is. Because at one point I put something up every day. Sometimes I have to do every 2 days. But it's definitely a intense number that I would have no clue as to
Did you say
get.
thousands of hours by now?
Oh, certainly, certainly, thousands
Yeah,
upon thousands upon thousands and thousands of hours. It would
yeah,
seem like.
man. Yeah, I started making videos and I was probably what 10 or 11.
Right, right.
So
I remember.
we were both pretty young, man, getting started in the truth movement.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. So you mentioned something to me, in our private chat, which we won't, go into detail about it, but you were saying something about that you wanted to take a trip up here or something.
Oh yeah, I was gonna take a trip with my friend. Like when we get enough money, I want to do like a like go somewhere different for a week, like every year, and get like
Yeah,
just some different experiences in life.
yeah, that's a smart idea, man. I hear you. But yeah, man, if you ever come up this way, man, I'll go hang out with you guys for a day or something. We can work that out.
Yeah, yeah, we were gonna crash at your house for the night.
Well, we'll see. I don't know about that, but we'll work something out, man. We'll work something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, too bad that we don't have Rocket Pond. It would have been fun to pick up Rocket Pond and bring him down, right?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I would say as far as how many hours I put into YouTube, it's probably in the hundreds because back when I like made most of my videos, they were a few minutes long. If you remember when I was younger,
Right.
so it's in the hundreds. Definitely not as much as you because um, we talked about this before, but like most of your newer fans and subscribers don't realize that like you're actually about it. Like you don't just sit behind a phone and talk about it. Like you used to when you were way younger, you would go out like in front of the highways and byways, as we like to call them, and you would be preaching this stuff for like sometimes it'd be what 30 minutes to an hour a video.
Right, right. Whatever the recorder would give me. But yeah, man, a lot of people don't know that. Cause say for an example, right? I had like I want to say 2 years ago, I had like maybe 300 subscribers, right? So, I gained in the last, 3 years, a couple hundred of them. But that's a lot considering, what we do, because the topics that we talk about, these are not popular, subject matters.
And we're being
But
heavily censored on top of that.
right, right, absolutely. So yeah, man, that statement you brought up is true. Hey, I've been in this thing for a number of years, or I've been in the truth for eight
Yeah.
years. I've been in the know for 8 years, but a lot of these cats that are popping up, like even Perry was like, "Oh, I've just been in the quote unquote the truth for like 3 years." So I'm sitting here laughing. It's like, well, shit, you've been in it for 3 years, and you're sitting here acting like you're some type of top teacher, dude. I've been into this stuff for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
a lot of people don't
man,
know that behind the scenes.
man, it's interesting because I feel like the more you learn, the more years you've been into this, the less you know, in the sense that and I don't mean in a biblical sense because obviously the more you study the Bible, I just mean in like a conspiratorial sense. Like for me, the more you look into it, the more you realize we don't really know exactly who rules the world. It's way more complicated than just oh, it's the Rothschilds, blame everything on them. Like the more you learn, the more you realize it's a really broad um, type of situation where there's a lot of different players in the game, so to speak.
Right, right. It's like, say for an example or a good analogy, to how deep it really is. It's kind of like, the ocean, right? Only 5% of the ocean floor has been explored. That
Yeah,
means
exactly.
95% is unexplored. And then people want to go around it and talk about, oh, we already found out that there's no, type of, massive, sea creatures or anything. Like, well, how the hell do you know that if only 5% of the ocean has been explored?
Exactly. Yeah. It's weird because a lot of let me open this yogurt real quick. But it's weird, man, because a lot of people in the conspiracy movement, it's like they'll find this whatever they're looking for, and then they'll just stop their research. Like I wonder who rules the world. They've come across like the Rothschilds, and then that's it. Like their research is closed. And to me, it's like an infinite amount of knowledge you can learn. I don't know why people just assume something and stop their research.
Right, right. There's always something new to learn. Like, say for an example, right? What I like to do is I take Rich Dad's advice, right? You might know it from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad if you ever, read those. Very good book. But Rich Dad, one of his advice in it was like, hey, look, know a little bit about a lot, right? Know a little about a lot of information, right? So
Uh-huh.
it's good to know, a little bit of information about a very large amount of subject matters versus know a lot of information about a very few amount of subject matters.
Yeah, I think it's important to do both. Like, everybody has their own specialty, so to speak.
Right, right.
So you're going to want to learn as much as possible about that. But then other things, it's good to learn about too. But you know, an example, man, of like just how deep it goes. Um, Now there's really an infinite amount of knowledge in the truth movement, and why people shouldn't just shut their research down when they find something would be like even the flat Earth, for example. Um, there is so many different conspiracies within the flat Earth conspiracy. Like is the Earth hollow and flat, or what's past the ice walls? Is it nothing? Is that the end of it, or is there like another Earth amount of land? Like, is there just infinite
Right, right.
land?
I
Or is
get,
there,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're
yeah.
saying. Some of these,
So
go ahead.
yeah. But that's the thing. A lot of truthers just stop their research when they come across something that makes sense and think they figured it all out. Like, okay, the Earth is flat. There's these ice walls, and that's the end of it. Case closed. Um, when, as I said, even with that, you can just dig a lot deeper into it than that. Like, I even come across BitChute, some people claiming that like there were certain humans, like peoples that were living outside the ice walls, and they were living like
Yeah,
200, 300 years.
right. Again, as far as that theory, right? That's one of the theories that some people believe in is that past the ice wall, there could be other, lands out there beyond the ice wall. Now, my position on it is, I do think it's possible there could be some, little lands out there, but then eventually, if you go far enough, you'll hit a barrier, right? In the Bible, it's called the firmament, which is the structure that, is over the entire world. Eventually, you'll run into that. But yeah, there could be, some small lands, out there that they're keeping, from the eyes of the public. Hell, and
Yeah,
even, before you get to the ice wall, there could be some, little islands out there that they leave off of the, world maps that, the super rich can go to, to flee away from, the average, civilization out here. They can live, away from the, the
absolutely,
chemtrails and, away from the pollution from these factories and whatnot.
absolutely, man. I'm just speaking out my ass here and don't have any evidence for it, but I genuinely do feel like the elites travel to Antarctica and go past the ice walls, and whenever they breathe in the air of the land outside the ice walls that's not polluted, like all of their sickness and everything just automatically gets cured, if that makes sense. Because like they're breathing from land that hasn't been infected by chemtrails and all the nonsense. So like I don't know, man. I've always thought that in the back of my head, like the elites just go on a helicopter and fly past the ice walls and then you know, uh, breathe in the air, man, from the earth that we're supposed to breathe the air from.
Right, right, away from all of that, pollution,
Yeah,
trails and, plastic, burning and all of that, right away to get away from all of it. Yeah, there could be possibly, lands out there, that they're hiding from the world where, these super rich, can flee to, especially say for an example, right, in the time to come when World War III happens, right, these leaders, they can just, hop on a plane and fly to these outer lands, right, these outer limits of the earth, and they can live over there in peace, right, and have, plenty of resources while everybody else over here in the world is all fighting each other to death over the last remaining resource.
hmm um, well,
The truth is,
yep,
that this is all up to speculation because none of us can actually go, improve these things for ourselves because because I've seen some people, man, they'll be like, well, if the Earth was flat, well, why don't you guys just go to Antarctica and take a picture of the edge of the world? It's like, well, dumbass, it's like you do know that the military is guarding Antarctica, and if they
yeah,
find you exploring there, you'll get turned around at gunpoint or shot. It's like that, right? Like, come on, people just don't think about it.
yeah, man, and you know, speaking of World War III, that's a really complicated topic because if there is a one man antichrist, it looks like there wouldn't be a World War III at all. Somehow all the countries would just unite together, and this guy would take over and announce himself to be God, and so on and so forth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like if that's true, that there's going to be a one man antichrist, that there is going to be no World War III, and sooner or later, everything's just going to come together.
Right, right. As I said, I don't subscribe to that idea of there being, one man antichrist because the Bible says if you go to what is that? I want to say First John 2:18. I want to say it says those that deny Christ, they're an antichrist. And if you go to verse 22, there it mentions the same thing, right? That one who denies that Christ is the Son of God, he's a deceiver and an antichrist. So there's no such teaching that there's just one antichrist that's going to rise up and he's going to rule over all the world. Because again, if
So
that was the case, just as you brought up, it's like if that was the case, well, how could the end time prophecies happen? Because the Bible speaks about that in the last days nations would fight against other nations. But if there's one man that's in rule over the world, well, why would the nations go to war against each other if they're being ruled over by one man? That don't make
yeah,
sense.
that's my point. So it has to be either one or the other. So I don't know why like you got Christians who believe in the one man antichrist also thinking that World War III is about to happen.
Right, right. This is nothing new. I remember, people on YouTube, talking about, Obama's the Antichrist. And then you got Rudy going around saying that, Trump is the Antichrist, and all of this.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Who, Rudy, you're speaking about?
Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, Rudy, I'll say this. I mean, I've known the guy for like 2 years or something like that. He can have a friendly conversation with you. But yeah, he believes a bunch of wacky nonsense. Like me and him were going back and forth. Just 2 days ago, we were going back and forth on Discord. He was talking about, he believes that, Satan is actually in rebellion against God and that, he fell with all his angels and that Satan's behind, the stuff that's going on. So me and him definitely disagreed, on that topic. And I even invite him, hey, look, if you want to chat about it, when I go live, click the link, come hop on the show, and me and you can have a friendly back and forth dialogue about it. And he just didn't want to do that, so yeah, Rudy, right? He believes a bunch of nonsense, but he's, a polite person. I'll give him that.
oh well, I haven't just had the best experiences with him, but you know, back to what we were talking about. Like, do you believe that the New World Order is Bible prophecy?
Um, we'll define what you mean by it, because some people say different things.
Um, well, I look at it as a global government.
I wouldn't say there's going to be like one global government that has one person in charge over it, but I do understand that there's like a new world order where they want to have everybody under control. They want to give everybody this mark, which is that RFID microchip, but that's a different topic. But yeah,
Yeah, but
in that reasoning, yes.
that's my point. Like, if the New World Order, if the elites are pre-planning everything and have everything, an agenda of everything that's going to take place, why would they want to start a World War III while also simultaneously trying to unite everybody so they could take over the world? Like, it's either one or the other. Like, or I
Well,
mean, how does that work? Because we know the New World Order is a thing. There's been a ton of politicians and elites talking about that, but
I
at the
got an
same
answer
time,
for that.
yeah,
You remember the Georgia Guidestones? Those were blown up like what 7, 8 months ago. But on the
yeah,
Guidestone, one of the main commandments was keep humanity in line with nature at 500 million people. So that means a few billion people have to die. What is that, like 7.5 billion people? Because the world's
yeah,
population just passed 8 billion, right? So they want to kill 7.5 billion people off. So what they're doing is, and you can look at some of these bunker companies. Like what's this one, this famous one? I believe it's Atlas Shelters or Atlas Bunkers. You can look them up. But they're talking about they're getting contacted by all of these these mega businessmen and all these billionaires and celebrities. All these people are getting these bomb shelters put inside of their their homes, put under their homes, and the
hmm,
world governments are getting all these things ready. So the plan that they have is once these things pop off, they can just go down into these bunkers. They can of course select a few amount of people, few healthy people to take down there with them that can survive this this devastation that's coming.
yeah,
And then when it's all over, they plan to come out and rebuild a civilization underneath the rule.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
obviously the little
order,
amount of
order out of
people,
chaos.
right, right, and everybody else up here, the vast majority of people would die off in
Yeah,
a relatively short amount of time. Like they say, for an example, right? I don't know if you looked into what happened recently with that, the Chinese spy balloon that was, over the United States. But
hmm,
they say that if there was an EMP attack, which an EMP, doesn't physically harm the person, but what it does is it fries all the electricity and all the electronics, and all of that, so none of it can be used. So they say if there was a attack on the United States with an EMP weapon, a vast majority of the population of the United States would be dead within like 6 months to a year.
wow,
And one
that's
reason
pretty
for that
crazy.
is people are not ready to live like how people lived like 200 years ago. Everybody now has to rely upon all this the internet and all these other technologies that we have today. If you were to take all that away, nobody would know how to do anything because we're too reliant on all of these technologies that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to the whole flat earth thing, man,
Uh-huh.
which I actually did a video on this earlier about flat Earth. I didn't put it up yet, but I recorded it earlier today. The thing that boggles my mind, man, is some of these guys on YouTube, they really piss me off sometimes. Some of these conspiracy guys, because it's like, even though again I believe the Earth's flat and I believe there's certainly conspiracies, but I just don't think it's reasonable, to sit there and believe that literally everything that happens in the world is all fake and staged. I mean, I can clearly give multiple examples of events that I was at that actually made it on the news. Like I'll give an example, right? On 4th of July, I was at a 4th of July event with thousands of people there, and it turns out there was actually a shooting. Somebody got shot there, and I was there when this event happened, and then later on that night, it was on a few news stations who were covering the story. So it's like, well, wait, so everything on the news is fake? What these guys are saying? It's like, well, is that event fake too? The event that I was actually there myself when this event happened? Ridiculous.
You know, it's really weird how the term conspiracy theory, like these days, people only see it. I mean, like it's weird how like the term conspiracy theory. I actually mentioned this in a video. It shouldn't automatically have a positive or negative connotation to it. Like conspiracy theory, that term isn't black or white. Like it isn't either everything's a conspiracy theory or nothing's a conspiracy theory. But that's how people treat it. Like you got people more like right leaning people who believe that everything's a conspiracy theory, like you point out. Then people on the left think nothing is, and use conspiracy theory as some kind of derogatory term when obviously there is real conspiracy theories out there, and it's not even theories; it's conspiracy facts, and there's evidence to back it up. So it's really weird, man. And the brainwashing as words whenever people use conspiracy theory as an insult, because it shouldn't be an insult. Like if you're calling people conspiracy theorists as an insult, you're basically saying any that you believe the government 24/7. Anybody that questions the official story is a maniac. Um, but yeah, I completely get what you're saying. I think we should all look at the term conspiracy theory, uh, and it should be a gray area where it shouldn't automatically be black or white, because there's conspiracy theories that are true and conspiracy theories that are false.
Right, right. I absolutely agree with you on that. There's plenty of examples of, some that are real, but then of course on the flip side, there's some that are fake.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know why everybody should be neutral on conspiracy theories. Everybody should, because there is conspiracy facts that there's government documents of. There's video evidence. Like I don't know if I can mention we'll call it the BG. You know what I'm talking about, the place in the California woods.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah, but there's literally a freaking video of it. Alex Jones broke in showing it, and it's like
Yeah, I've seen that
people,
video.
yeah, people still call it a conspiracy theory, and it's like if you think it's a conspiracy theory at that point, I don't even know what to say. Like there's some levels of ignorance and stupidity that it's just not funny.
Right, right. I definitely hear you, man. It's crazy some of the nonsense that these people out here believe in. You got idiots out here on YouTube. Like I was on YouTube the other day, and I stumbled across a few videos of these Christians. They were trying to get this. This is how ridiculous this is. They were trying to say that God is actually the sun in the sky, like the burning hot ball of fire, as they say it is. That we see in the sky above our heads. They're saying that that's actually God Himself. Like it's,
Oh, that's some of that is like more esoteric stuff. Saying Jesus is the Son and double speaking and stuff like that, which it's a lot of complicated stuff I don't really understand. Um,
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. In the Bible, it does of course call Christ the Son of God, but in that context, it's talking about like say if you're a father and have a son, right, that's your offspring, that's your son. But what these guys are saying is the son is actually the sun in the sky. And one verse they go to prove this would be Psalms, what is that, 84 verse 11. It says, "For the Lord God is a sun and a shield." So they'll use that to say, well, see, it says that He is the sun, so that proves that the physical sun we see in our heads in the sky, that's God right there. So it's crazy some of the nonsense that these people can convince themselves, just because they hear, a conspiracy on the internet. And one thing, going back to the preacher, right?